The plane's wheels screeched against the tarmac as it landed at JFK Airport. The bustling city of New York spread out before them, skyscrapers reaching for the heavens and the distant hum of traffic filling the air. Sophie, looking out of the window, said, "There it is, the city that never sleeps, and somewhere in that concrete jungle is my sister's diner." Dylan, stretching his arms, remarked, "And hopefully, the city that never runs out of pizza. I've heard New York slices are legendary." Chloe chuckled. "Always thinking with your stomach, aren't you, Dylan?" Buddy, nose pressed against the window, sniffed the air eagerly. The myriad of scents from New York's diverse culinary scene had him wagging his tail in anticipation. Max, gathering his backpack, said, "All right, team, let's head out. We've got a mystery to solve." As the Clue Club made their way through the airport, the weight of their new adventure began to settle in. An old diner, a worried sister, and rumours of ghostly apparitions. What could possibly be haunting Sophie's diner? Dylan, with a smirk, quipped, "Maybe it's the ghost of a chef, forever searching for the perfect burger recipe." Sophie rolled her eyes but smiled. "Let's just hope it's something we can handle." The bright lights of New York beckoned, and the Clue Club was ready to dive into their next mystery. The neon sign of Angela's diner flickered intermittently, casting an eerie glow on the sidewalk. The classic New York diner, with its chrome exterior and checkered floor, seemed like a relic from another era. As the Clue Club approached, the door swung open to reveal Angela, Sophie's older sister. Her face, usually bright and cheerful, bore a look of concern. "Sophie!" Angela exclaimed, rushing forward and enveloping her sister in a tight embrace. She then turned to the rest of the group, giving each of them a warm hug. "Thank you all for coming. I didn't know who else to turn to." Sophie, sensing her sister's distress, asked, "Ang, what's been going on?" Angela hesitated, taking a deep breath before she began. "It started a few weeks ago. Plates and glasses would shatter without anyone touching them. Chairs would move on their own. And then there's the kitchen." Chloe, intrigued, prompted, "What about the kitchen?" Angela's voice dropped to a whisper. "Every night, around midnight, the stoves turn on by themselves, and there's this cold spot right by the grill. No matter how hot the kitchen gets, that one spot remains freezing." Dylan, trying to lighten the mood, remarked, "Well, at least Buddy won't have any trouble finding his way to the grill. He's always had a cold nose." He winked, pointing to Buddy, who was already sniffing around the diner's entrance, undoubtedly drawn by the aroma of cooking. Angela managed a small smile. "It's not just these incidents, though. There's a feeling in this place, like we're not alone." Max, ever the logical one, said, "We'll get to the bottom of this, Angela. Let's start by taking a look around." As the Clue Club began their investigation, the weight of the diner's history pressed down on them. What secrets did it hold? And who, or what, was behind the mysterious happenings? The diner, though currently empty, echoed with the memories of the past. The red leather booths, jukebox in the corner, and retro decor painted a vivid picture of the 1950s, a time when the diner was in its prime. Angela had mentioned that the place had a rich history, and it was evident in every nook and cranny. Sophie, running her fingers along the countertop, remarked, "This place has seen so many stories." Angela, "Did the previous owners mention anything unusual?" Angela sighed. "Not really. The bank just said it went into foreclosure, but I've heard whispers from some of the older locals. They say the diner's been haunted for years. That's probably why I got it for such a steal." Chloe, peering into the kitchen, said, "Well, if there's something here, we'll find it. We've dealt with our fair share of mysteries." Max, examining a framed photograph on the wall, added, "Every place has its secrets. We just need to uncover this one." As the group spread out to explore, Dylan, ever the joker, slid into one of the booths, raising his hand high. "Excuse me? Service, please? I've heard the ghostly burgers here are to die for." Despite the eerie atmosphere, the group chuckled. Buddy, meanwhile, had found an old bone under one of the tables and was happily gnawing on it. Angela, trying to lighten the mood, said, "Well, if the ghosts don't show up, at least we know Buddy's having a good time." The night was young, and the Clue Club was determined to uncover the truth behind the haunting of Angela's diner. With flashlights in hand and a sense of adventure in their hearts, they prepared for a night they wouldn't soon forget. The kitchen, with its gleaming stainless steel counters and old-fashioned appliances, seemed like any other diner kitchen at first glance. But as Sophie, Max, Chloe, and Angela stepped inside, an immediate chill enveloped them. The temperature drop was so sudden that their breaths became visible in the air. Chloe, rubbing her arms for warmth, remarked, "This is the cold spot you were talking about, right?" Angela nodded, her eyes wide. "Every time, right here." Sophie, ever the investigator, began examining the area. "There's no draft, no windows. This doesn't make sense." As they delved deeper into the kitchen, they began to experience more unexplained phenomena. Pots and pans hanging from a rack started to sway gently, even though there was no breeze. The flames on the stove burners ignited on their own, casting eerie blue glows. And then the most unsettling event occurred. The soft, echoing sound of a 1950s tune began playing from nowhere in particular, filling the room. Max, trying to locate the source of the music, said, "It sounds like it's coming from everywhere." Suddenly the music stopped, replaced by an oppressive silence. Then a voice, clear and chilling, echoed through the kitchen. "Leave before it's too late." Chloe, gripping Sophie's arm, whispered, "Did you hear that?" Sophie, her face pale, nodded. Loud and clear. The group, on high alert, continued their exploration. They found old recipes scattered on a table dating back decades. A refrigerator door opened on its own, revealing dishes from days long past. And in the corner, a clock that hadn't worked in years began ticking, its hands moving backward. Angela, her voice trembling, said, This is what I've been dealing with, every night." Max, trying to keep everyone calm, said, "We need to stick together and figure this out. There's always a logical explanation." Back in the dining area, Dylan, unaware of the events unfolding in the kitchen, was entertaining Buddy with ghost stories, while the dog seemed more interested in a leftover sandwich. The group reconvened in the diner's main seating area, the dim light from the street lamps outside casting long shadows on the checkered floor. The atmosphere was thick with tension, the events in the kitchen still fresh in their minds. Sophie, taking a deep breath, began, "That was intense. I've never experienced anything quite like that before." Chloe nodded in agreement. "It felt so real, so tangible. And that voice, it said your name, Sophie." Sophie, looking thoughtful, replied, "Yes, and it sounded familiar, but I can't place it." Dylan, trying to lighten the mood, quipped, "Maybe it's Elvis looking for his blue suede shoes, or, just wanting to order a peanut butter and banana sandwich." Despite the situation, the group chuckled. Buddy, sensing the group's unease, wagged his tail and nuzzled up to Sophie, offering comfort. Max, ever the voice of reason, said, "We need to approach this systematically. Tomorrow, we'll dig into the history of this place. There has to be a connection, a reason for all of this." Angela, looking hopeful, added, "I've heard rumours from the older folks in the neighbourhood. They say the diner was once a hotspot for celebrities and influential people back in the day. Maybe there's something in its past that can give us a clue." Sophie, determination in her eyes, said, "We'll get to the bottom of this. For now, let's get some rest. Tomorrow we dive deep into the diner's history and see what secrets it holds." As the Clue Club left Angela's diner for the night, the neon sign outside flickered once, casting an eerie glow. The mystery was far from over, and the group was more determined than ever to uncover the truth. The New York City morning sun shone brightly as the Clue Club made their way to the local newspaper office, the Big Apple Daily. The building, with its Art Deco facade, was a testament to the city's rich history. As they entered, the scent of fresh ink and the sound of typewriters filled the air. Rows of desks with reporters busily typing away and large stacks of newspapers greeted them. Dylan, looking around, remarked, "With all this paper around, you'd think they'd have a better handle on the newsprint smell. Maybe they should start a scented newspaper line. Eau de journalisme." Chloe rolled her eyes. Always with the jokes, Dylan. They approached the archives section, where an older gentleman with silver hair and round glasses was meticulously organising old newspaper clippings. Sophie, with a friendly tone, asked, "Excuse me, sir, we're looking for any information on Angela's diner. We've heard there's been some unusual activity there over the years." The man looked up, adjusting his glasses. "Ah, Angela's diner. Yes, that place has been a topic of discussion for years. Unexplained events, mysterious sightings, it's all been reported." Max, intrigued, inquired, "Do you have any specific articles or reports about it?" The gentleman nodded, pulling out a large binder. "Here you go. This contains all the mentions of Angela's diner over the years." As they flipped through the pages, the man added, "You know, even the late great Vincent Price was a regular there, loved his ham and cheese sandwiches, came in once a week like clockwork." Dylan, with a smirk, said, "Vincent Price, huh? Maybe he was just researching for one of his spooky roles." "The sandwich of Dr. Phibes, perhaps?" The group chuckled, grateful for the light-hearted moment amidst the mystery. Sophie, pointing to an article, said, "Look here, there's a mention of a former owner who disappeared under mysterious circumstances. This could be a lead." The Clue Club, armed with new information, thanked the gentleman and headed out, ready to delve deeper into the enigma of Angela's diner. The evening sky cast a deep blue hue over the city, and the neon lights of Angela's diner shone brightly, beckoning the Clue Club inside. Angela, looking more anxious than before, greeted them. "I've been thinking about what you found," Angela began, her voice shaky. "The previous owner, Mr. Ricci, was indeed found in the river. Rumour has it he had ties to the mob, but I never thought it had anything to do with the hauntings." Sophie, trying to comfort her, said, "We're here to help, Ang. Let's get to the bottom of this." Max, looking around, suggested, "We should start by checking the basement. Old buildings like this often have hidden rooms or passages." As they prepared to head downstairs, a sudden cold wind blew through the diner, extinguishing the lights. In the dim glow from the street outside, a ghostly shape materialized, moving swiftly towards them. Its form was indistinct, but its intent was clear. Dylan, eyes wide, exclaimed, "To the basement! Run!" Without a second thought, the group bolted towards the basement door, Buddy barking loudly at the apparition. As they descended the creaky stairs, the temperature dropped noticeably, and an eerie silence enveloped them. Chloe, catching her breath, whispered, "What was that?" Dylan, trying to lighten the mood, quipped, "Well, if that was Mr. Ricci, he sure knows how to make an entrance." Max, shining his flashlight around, said, "We need to be careful. Whatever that was, it's clear we're not welcome here." Sophie, determination in her eyes, added, "We're close to finding answers. Let's keep going." The basement, with its stone walls and old wooden beams, held secrets from the past. The Clue Club was determined to uncover them, no matter what lurked in the shadows. The basement's dim lighting, combined with the maze of rooms and corridors, made it difficult to navigate. As they pursued the mysterious figure, the sound of footsteps echoed through the tunnel, growing fainter with each passing second. "Come on, we can't lose him," Max urged, leading the way. Dylan, trying to keep up, suddenly tripped over an old mop, sending him sprawling to the ground. "Who leaves a mop in the middle of a chase scene?" he grumbled, trying to regain his footing. Chloe, not noticing Dylan's fall, ran straight into a hanging tablecloth, which enveloped her like a ghostly shroud. "Really?" she exclaimed, pulling the cloth off her head. Sophie, trying to stifle a laugh, said, "We're like the world's clumsiest detectives right now." The chase continued, but the group's progress was hindered by a series of comedic mishaps. Max bumped into a stack of old crates, Buddy got distracted by a rat, and Angela accidentally stepped on a squeaky toy, causing everyone to jump. Suddenly, the sound of a loud thud echoed through the tunnel. The group, picking up their pace, rounded a corner to find the mysterious man lying on the ground, unconscious. A low-hanging beam overhead suggested he'd misjudged his height in the dim light. Sophie, kneeling beside him, checked for a pulse. "He's alive, but he must have hit his head pretty hard." Dylan, brushing off his pants, quipped, Well, I guess he's not heading anywhere anytime soon. The group exchanged amused glances, appreciating the momentary levity amidst the mystery. With the man secured, it was time to uncover his identity and his connection to the haunting of Angela's diner. The wailing sirens of the ambulance grew louder as it approached the diner. The mysterious man, now regaining consciousness, looked around, his eyes widening in realization. The Clue Club and Angela stood around him, their expressions a mix of concern and determination. As the paramedics began to check him over, Sophie stepped forward. "Who are you? Why were you trying to scare everyone?" The man sighed, a look of defeat in his eyes. "My name's Leonard. I used to own this diner before it went under. I had plans to buy it back, but Angela got to it first. I thought if I could scare her enough, she'd sell it to me at a low price." Angela, her voice filled with disbelief, said, "So, all those ghostly appearances, the hauntings, it was all you?" Leonard nodded. "Most of it, yes. But this place, it has its own stories. I just added to the legend." Dylan, raising an eyebrow, remarked, "So, you were trying to ghost your way back into ownership? That's a new one." Chloe, shaking her head, added, "You could have hurt someone, Leonard, or yourself for that matter." Leonard, looking genuinely remorseful, replied, "I know. I got carried away. I just wanted my diner back." Sophie, her voice gentle, said, "There are better ways to handle things, Leonard. Deception and fear aren't the answers." As the paramedics loaded Leonard onto the stretcher, he looked up at Angela. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Angela, taking a deep breath, replied, "I hope you find a better way forward, Leonard." The Clue Club, feeling a sense of accomplishment, began their walk back to the hotel. The city lights illuminated their path, casting long shadows on the pavement. As they moved away from the diner, Sophie paused, looking back at the iconic establishment. "I'm glad we could help Angela," she said, a hint of pride in her voice. Max nodded. It's always good to get to the bottom of a mystery. But just as they were about to continue on, an unexpected sight caught their attention. The lights inside the diner began to flicker erratically, and through the window they could see pots and pans swinging back and forth in the kitchen. Chloe, her eyes wide, whispered, "Did you guys see that?" Dylan, trying to lighten the mood as always, quipped, "Maybe the real ghosts are just celebrating that Leonard's gone, or maybe they're just cooking up a midnight snack." Sophie, chuckling, said, "Whatever it is, I think we've had enough mysteries for one trip." Max, looking thoughtful, added, "Every place has its stories. Some are just more spirited than others." With Buddy wagging his tail in agreement, the group shared a collective laugh. The allure of their favourite hangout, burgers and fries, beckoned them. "Home sounds really good right now," Angela remarked, thinking of the familiar comforts of Pineview. Dylan, grinning, said, "And I could really go for a burger. Or 2. Or 3. With that, the Clue Club continued on their way, the city's mysteries behind them and the promise of more adventures ahead.